Okay, Shannon put us on the record. First up today is the matter of Keith Moore Jackson. Could I have everyone identify themselves for the record?
Matt Way, Prosecutor's Office.
Molly Wagner, DHS.
Sabrina Vitalci, CPS worker.
Ivan Brown, LGAL.
Okay, there's 4 other people in the waiting room. Oops. I'll let Mr. Hotchkiss in, even though he's not on this case. Are you expecting anyone else, Mr. Way?
I'm not sure if the Ms. Vitalcheese is the mother or the guardian planning on participating.
So the guardian is Kiara Moore. I don't know if she's in the waiting room. I checked in with her this morning. Okay, and then mom, we would have to call her, which is Princess Moore.
Okay, what is her number?
It is 313-424-9930.
The 3 people in the waiting room are Caitlin Kinder, Detective Aaron Grove, and Patricia McGuire. I assume they're all on other cases.
I think actually Detective Grove is on this. Yeah, he's on this case.
Okay, I'll let him in. And then I'll get, and I'm sorry, what's the mother's name again?
It's Princess Moore. Just think of me.
I've dialed the number, but it doesn't appear to be ringing through.
Okay.
Let me try it again.
Hello.
Good morning. May I speak with Princess Moore, please?
Who's calling?
This is Judge LaFlamme.
Who?
I'm a circuit court judge. We're conducting a court proceeding involving Keith Moore Jackson.
Keith Moore
Yes,
and Jackson. Okay, what is this call about?
it's a court proceeding, ma'am.
Oh, today?
Are you Princess Moore?
Yes, yes, I am.
Yeah, you are entitled to participate in the proceeding. I was simply calling you to give you an opportunity to do that. Do you wish?
Okay, what day is it?
What day is? It's today. It's right now.
Oh, I thought it was the 11th.
No, it's right now.
Okay, well, okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, and I see that there's an iPhone now in the waiting room. I'm going to see who that is. Ms. Moore, if I have a question for you, I will say your name before I ask the question. Otherwise, assume the question is for someone else.
Okay, you say you would say my name, otherwise it'd be some. What is this about? Or you can't tell me what the case is about?
Sure, it's a child protection proceeding to determine, trial to determine whether or not the court should take jurisdiction over Keith Moore Jackson.
And if y'all take him over, what will he be?
Well, once I take jurisdiction over a case, then I place the child under the care and supervision of the Department of Health and Human Services, and then they make recommendations to the court as to what Keith Moore needs in order to address the issues and behaviors that he's been demonstrating.
Oh, okay. In other words, y'all be helping him until they try to get him under control with what the issues is from what y'all see on his record.
Absolutely, ma'am. This is not a criminal proceeding. It is a civil proceeding, and the goal is to help your son.
Okay. You know what? I'm cool with that because I've been searching for that for, I'm just, this guy answer my prayers. But we'll see what's going on because, he needs to be obedient. He needs to learn obedience.
All right. Well,
He's not grown.
Just listen in, and if we have something for you, like I said, I will call your name and give you a chance to speak, okay?
Okay. I wonder who all involved in this.
There's a lot of people involved, ma'am. There's an attorney who's been appointed to represent your son's best interests. There's an attorney who represents the Department of Health and Human Services. There are a couple of social workers involved, a team of people, okay?
Okay, probably his sister too. Okay. Okay, I'll let you go ahead because the longer you talk to me, longer it's going to take.
It shouldn't take too long, ma'am, but the sooner I can get moving on it, the better. So just sit tight.
That's what I was saying. Let me be quiet so you can get your process in, so you can go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, ma'am. I just let somebody in on an iPhone. Could you tell me your name, please?
Scott Norkey, Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, so you're not on this case, but I'm going to plug your name in and then put you back in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Oh, this Keith right there.
Okay, and it looks like that other iPhone disappeared. Okay, Mr. Way, is there anything preliminary?
No, Your Honor.
Call your first witness.
I would call Detective Grove, Your Honor.
Detective Grove, could you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name for the record and then spell it, please.
Aaron Grove, Grove.
Go ahead, Mr. Way.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Grove, you are a detective with the City of Jackson Police Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you assigned to investigate a complaint involving Keith Moore Jackson?
Yes.
At some point, did somebody in Keith's home make allegations that he had sexually assaulted them?
His niece.
Okay, and that's Isabella, is that
Correct.
correct? And this is the second occasion that Isabella has accused Keith of sexual assault, is that correct?
That's correct.
Through your investigation, did you learn that Keith was essentially homeless at some point?
I did.
And can you tell us about that?
His sister, who I was made to understand is his legal guardian, after the second accusation from her daughter towards her brother, she felt that she didn't have any other choice. She had nowhere to put him. No one would take him elsewhere, is what she told me. So she had this choice: either keep her brother in the home and allow the possibility of him to continue perpetrating sexual assault on her daughter, or keep her daughter safe. So she was forced to choose, and she chose her daughter. I think most parents would. But then she kind of came to us saying, I also have this obligation to my brother, and I don't want to shirk it, but I don't know what to do.
At that point, did you make a complaint to Child Protective Services?
Yes, I did.
And his Keith's sister is Kiera Moore, is that correct?
Yes.
And they were all living, so he was living in the home with Isabella at the time, correct?
The apartment on 4th Street in the city.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
No questions.
Any questions? Any further testimony?
I would just call Ms. Beidelshees real quick. You're good to go, Detective Grove. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Detective Grove. Have a good day.
sir. You as well.
Ms. Beidelshees, if you would raise your right hand, please. You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name and then spell it, please.
It's Sabrina Beidelshees, and that is Sabrina. Last name is Beitelschhies.
Go ahead, Mr. Way.
Thank you. Ms. Beidelshees, you were an investigator with Child Protective Services, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you filed the petition in this case?
Correct.
At the time you filed the petition, was Keith Moore Jackson, date of birth 6/2/2003, found here in Jackson County?
He was.
And is Keith's putative father deceased?
That's correct.
And his mother is Princess Moore, is that correct?
That is correct.
And his guardian at the time was Kiera Moore, is that correct?
Correct.
Is Kiera still his legal guardian, or has that been terminated?
She's still working on getting it terminated.
Okay, and that's through Wayne County, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Keith was placed in a guardianship with his sister as a result of an abuse and neglect case in Wayne County a couple years ago, is that correct?
That is correct.
When you became involved in the case back in July of this year, the circumstance, we heard Detective Grove testify. Was that your understanding of what was going on at the time as well?
It was, yes.
Were you able to find any appropriate relatives or family members for Keith to stay with at the time?
We were not.
Based on that, was he essentially homeless and not living with a parent or other legally responsible person at the time?
Yes.
And do you believe he was at risk of substantial physical or psychological harm as a result of that and all the other circumstances that were going on with Keith at the time?
Yes.
Where's Keith placed currently?
He's at Wolverine in Vassar.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Questions, Mr. Brown?
No, thank you, Judge.
Any further witnesses, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor. That completes my presentation.
Can we dispense with arguments?
Yes.
Your Honor.
The court finds, based upon the testimony, because of the behaviors of the juvenile Keith Moore Jackson, particularly the allegations of sexual abuse of children living in the same home. Based upon the testimony of the worker, this juvenile is currently homeless. He's not domiciled with a parent or other legally responsible person. And he is at a substantial risk of harm to his mental well-being. And the court will therefore take jurisdiction over him. Are we able to do disposition today?
I can do it today, yes.
What are your recommendations for disposition?
My recommendations would be supervised parenting time and that Keith successfully complete a residential program. He's supposed to be going to Havenwick into their sexually reactive program next week. So we're hoping that happens.
Mr. Brown, any comments on the recommendations?
I think those recommendations are appropriate, and I would ask that you adopt them.
Very well. I also believe that they are appropriate. Ms. Moore, I want to make sure you understand. I've taken jurisdiction over your son. I'm ordering him placed in the care and custody of the Department of Health and Human Services. And the objective will be to place him in a residential program known as Havenwick that has a specific program to deal with sexually reactive youth. Did you have any questions or any comments for the court?
So Keith is being accused of sexually assault to a minor.
Yes.
And where will he be placed at?
The place is called Havenwick. Where is Havenwick located?
It's in Auburn Hills.
That's in Auburn Hills. You should be able to visit him there. The visits need to be supervised, but it's helpful when parents are involved and engaged. When a kid has reached a point that his behavior requires him to be placed in an institution in a residential setting. So your participation and involvement could be helpful to his recovery.
Okay, and also, say, will he be attending school or still be able to attend job corps because he was in job corps?
These residential programs, ma'am, all have educational components to them.
Okay.
They provide for schooling in that setting.
Okay. So y'all will keep me informed then when he can be receive a visitor. So how long will he be held there?
It'll be dependent totally upon how he progresses. Typically, these institutions have levels that the residents need to achieve. They're provided with therapy. They're given goals. As they attain these goals, they move from one level to the next. And at some point, if they satisfy all of the programming and they achieve the levels, the goal ultimately is that he would be released into the care, either your care or the care of a guardian.
Okay, well, for me to get guardianship back over to him, because I would prefer him to live here. He don't want to live here because rules have to be followed, and I wish he would get that in his head, but I'm going to continue to pray for him. Because Keith want to be where he can have his way, which is sit around and play games and play on phone, because that's what he's been doing. So if he don't want to live with me, because I know I prefer this to be happening, because I done started him with having him in programming for parental for me and him, have him in like how y'all doing, counseling for behavior.
Okay.
So y'all saying is I'm not stable enough to keep him, but I prefer him to be where y'all sending him to.
Yeah, and we don't know what the future holds, ma'am, but we know that we're going to be addressing whatever his needs are. That's what Havenwick will be doing. The court will hold regular review hearings to monitor his progress, and you will be entitled to participate in each of those hearings. Shannon, when will be our first review hearing?
It will be December 8th at 8:45.
December 8th at 8:45. Thank you all. That concludes our hearing. Ms. Moore, have a good day.
Judge,
when December the 8th, that's going to be.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Ms. Wagner, as you always do, will you provide me with the contact information when he gets to Havenwick and the counselor that I go through?
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. We'll move on to the next call. Have a good day, ma'am.
Judge, stop.
Thank you for noticing.
You're welcome.
Mr. Way,
Yes.
my orders aren't getting in my files as quickly as they once did for obvious reasons. But I recall the Johnson case, an order was done closing that case, correct?
That was the one where the dad's in.
Chabot.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
it was done, I think, a couple weeks ago, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next up is Angelica Towers. Let's see, Ms. Kinder, we'll let her in. Ms. McGuire, we'll let her in. Is Mr. Norkey on this file?
Yeah, I believe he's Ms. Kinder's supervisor, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll let him in. All right, and the only one other person in there is on the next file. So looks like everybody's here. Once we've made an audio connection with everyone, looks like we have. Okay, this is a matter of Angelica Towers. Could each of you identify yourselves for the record?
Matt Wade, Prosecutor's Office.
Ken Hotchkiss, guardian ad litem.
His last well visit was
Caitlin Kinder, MD, HHS.
Patricia McGuire, I'm also with MDHHS.
Scott Norkey, MD, HHS.
Anything preliminary on this file, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor.
Call your first witness.
I would call Caitlin Kinder.
Ms. Kinder? Ms. Kinder? Looks like she's on another call. Let me see if I can get her attention.
Sorry, Your Honor, I had an emergency phone call and I was trying to hang up as you were calling in. I apologize.
No problem. Would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your full name and then spell it, please.
Caitlin Kinder, it's Caitlynn. Last name Kinder, Kinder.
Go ahead with your questions, Mr. Way.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kinder, you're an investigator with Child Protective Services, is that correct?
Correct.
And you filed the petition in this case?
Correct.
At the time you filed the petition, was Angelica Towers, date of birth 11/11/2005, found here in Jackson County?
Yes.
Is her legal father Gary Towers?
Yes.
Her mother's rights were previously terminated, correct?
Correct.
And her guardian at the time was Elvis Hott, is that correct?
Correct.
When you received this case and did your investigation, were there concerns for Angelica's mental health and well-being?
Yes.
And was she not getting the mental health help that she needed at that time?
That's correct.
Did she run away on multiple occasions from her guardian's home?
Yes.
And did she also refuse to go back to her guardian's home?
Yes.
Did you speak with Mr. Hott regarding Angelica's behaviors?
Yes, I did.
And what did he report to you?
Mr. Hott reported that she was running away. She was having what would be considered high-risk behaviors, running away, interacting with adult men, using drugs, and there were concerns that she may have been involved with people who were involved in some gangs in Jackson.
As a result of that, did he feel like her behaviors were beyond what he could control?
Yes.
And do you believe as a result of those behaviors, she was at danger for substantial physical or psychological harm?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Questions, Mr. Hotchkiss?
No question, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any further testimony, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Can we dispense with arguments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, based upon the testimony, this juvenile has been engaging in high-risk behaviors that put her at a substantial risk of harm to her mental and physical well-being. She has repeatedly run away from home and is beyond the control of a parent or other legally responsible person. Therefore, the court will take jurisdiction over her. Are we prepared to move forward with disposition today?
Are you prepared, Ms. McGuire? I know there's been a lot of developments with Angelica.
I'm not entirely sure that we're necessarily ready for a disposition. I do know that there is a lot going on with her as we speak.
We can certainly set a date for disposition to hopefully figure out what your plan's going to be. That's acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
Shannon, give us a date for disposition, please.
Let's do, so what's today? Today's the 9th. Can we do, let's do September 22nd at 1:15.
Does that give you enough time, Ms. McGuire?
Yeah, is that enough?
It does. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, that's the date. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Concludes this matter. Next up is a matter of Joseph Early. And I see Ms. Bordeaux, let her in. And then I've got 3 phone numbers. I'm just going to go ahead and let them all in since it's the only matter scheduled before 10 o'clock.
Mr. Early has to do it by phone, so.
There's 3 phone numbers in there, so one of them might be him. We'll see as soon as they sign in. Okay, I've let some telephone numbers into the courtroom. The first one is 517-581-6926. What is your name, please?
Jessica Chambers.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you.
Okay, and then 517-945-8592. What is your name?
Ronald Early.
Good morning, Mr. Early.
Good morning.
And then I've got one more phone number. It's an incomplete number, 5175. What's your name, please? Is that Mom?
I'm the first one, Jessica Chambers.
Does anybody
The 581.
recognize?
Ms. Bordeaux, do you know who that is on video, by chance?
Could you say the number one more time?
Oh, no.
It's an incomplete number.
Oh, I
It's
don't.
just
I'm
the
sorry.
first 4 digits. And whoever it is now gone. So All right, I'll keep an eye on the waiting room and see if whoever it is reappears. It looks like everyone is here. So let's, if each of you could please identify yourselves for the record.
Matt Way, Prosecutor's Office.
Haley Bordeaux, DHHS.
Rebecca McCluskey for Jessica Chambers.
Kelly, Guardian Ad Litem.
Ivan Brown on behalf of Ronald Early.
Okay, I'm aware we had some off-the-record discussions regarding this file yesterday concerning the wisdom of moving forward with termination of the mother's parental rights. Mr. Way, if you could state the petitioner's position on this.
Sure, Your Honor, thank you. This is obviously a mandatory petition for the agency because of Ms. Chambers' prior terminations. There's obviously a long history that the court and all parties are aware of. the agency's position is that we would like to pursue termination, but we also understand the court's position, especially in terms of best interests and really not getting there because the father is, we're not terminating on the father and the child's now in home with the father. So what was represented would be that the court would essentially enter an order, I guess maybe not now, but at the conclusion of the proceedings, suspending parent, well, I think we would probably, I don't know about parenting time, but suspending parenting time, giving full custody to Mr. Early. The agency would be willing to service Ms. Chambers if she is willing to participate in services. I know that they set up a rehab for her and she left after, I believe, just a day or two. But given the history of this case and everything, I don't want the court to require the agency to provide reasonable efforts, given what we know the ultimate outcome is. The agency would also like to, I guess, pursue the petition as it relates to Mr. Early because of the concerns that the agency has with him. I know that there was discussions about him doing potentially Al-Anon, and I think something like that and potentially some sort of counseling would be beneficial. And I don't know what Mr. Early's intentions are with Ms. Chambers, but I think we need to address this long-term, no matter what his relationship with Ms. Chambers is going to be in the future. Thank you.
Right, and I will state, I do not typically terminate the parental rights of a parent when there is another parent, the other parent involved in the case who is providing a suitable home for the child. There are some situations where I will do that. This isn't one of them. Certainly, based upon my understanding of the facts, a statutory basis indeed exists for terminating the mom's parental rights, but I wouldn't find that termination of her parental rights would be in the child's best interest under these circumstances. Mom has a long-standing, serious addiction problem. I would hope that she gets the treatment that she needs for her own sake and ultimately for the sake of her child. But I am not going to have the agency tasked with getting a parent to cooperate who simply doesn't want to or cannot cooperate. So continued treatment services can be made available to her, but it will be up to Ms. Chambers whether or not she engages in them. Mr. Early has not been adjudicated. My understanding is there's been a jury trial demand made in that regard, and I couldn't begin to tell you when I can start setting jury trials in neglect proceedings. But based upon what I know, I would expect that Mr. Early could definitely benefit from participating in Al-Anon or a similar service which deals with the sober family members that has someone in the family who's struggling with drugs or alcohol, in terms of showing him, providing support to him first and foremost, but also helping him understand what are the things he does that help and what are the things he does or could do that would actually enable continuing addiction. And Mr. Early, I think you could benefit from participation in something like that. I can't order you.
When it's time, I address.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
I've spoke with Mr. Early, and he will gladly participate in Al-Anon. If he and I forget the case last name, Mia.
Tyler.
Taylor.
Yes, if Mr. Early and her could get together, I'm not sure how Al-Anon works, whether it has sign-in sheets so he can show her that he's going. He will gladly start. If we can reach an agreement here today on the frequency of that, knowing that he has a young child with him and very little opportunity for daycare, I'm suggesting once a week that he go to Al-Anon. And if that's okay with everyone, we can put it in the order that he will voluntarily go to Al-Anon. I can't begin to think where an Al-Anon is. Maybe Miss Tyler can help him find one that's suitable for all parties.
Yeah, and I know
Shannon
it was, oh, go ahead, Judge.
Shannon just stepped away. I was going to ask her, what's our next hearing date? I'm sure it's in the file somewhere. Let me look.
The jury trial is scheduled for 10/27.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
And our next review hearing date,
For 13th.
What was the question, Judge?
October 13. I found it, Shannon.
For the,
We've got a review hearing
Review,
date
oh.
scheduled for October 13.
we've also got a pretrial for October 20th and then the jury trial for October 27th.
Right.
Okay.
If I were to move forward and a jury returns a verdict that would allow me to adjudicate Mr. Early, what more would you be recommending for him other than something like Al-Anon?
I think the agency, one of the things that we talked about yesterday was potentially some sort of counseling. I don't know. I don't know Al-Anon. I don't know the program well enough. But that would potentially be, I think the issues are just, I don't know. To me, the issues are pretty long-standing. There's been some other things that have come up in the past. So I think it would be beneficial to him.
All right, well, I don't need to decide that today. I do think Al-Anon, based on my understanding of the circumstances, would be very helpful to Mr. Early. And I will note in my order that he has agreed voluntarily to participate in that. We'll just keep the other dates on and see where we are when we get there. With respect to suspension of visits, I understand that you're not comfortable with Mr. Early supervising visits based upon mom's repeated using of drugs in the home that the child is living in. But is there any reason that the agency couldn't supervise visits?
I think that would probably be okay, Your Honor. I would just stress again, for what feels like the 10th time, that if there is any sort of issue, if Ms. Chambers is back in the home, if there's some violation of what Mr. Early is supposed to do, there's going to be another removal petition filed.
And I would note, Judge, this has been months now since we've had the last hearing, and I'm sure the bird dogs have been hounding that home, and I haven't heard one peep. So it sounds like Mr. Early is doing everything that he's supposed to do.
I will, Mr. Early, I will emphasize, given Ms. Chambers' behaviors, I mean, I relented. I allowed her to be in the home simply because of the unique circumstances of COVID and her being homeless. But given the behaviors that occurred, clearly that was a mistake on my part, allowing that to happen. And as sir, there is no way in the world that you can allow her back into your home, even for a visit. You cannot allow Ms. Chambers back into your home until this court determines that she is not a risk to your child. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
All right.
One more thing, Judge, can I make sure that you have in your order that she is removed from the home? Because technically, she, unless that's in your order, she can waltz right up there and sit on the couch without an eviction order. So if it's in your order, fine. If not, there's no legal authority to keep her out. I just want to make sure it's in there.
I will enter a separate order removing her from the home.
Thank you.
already did.
I did,
Okay.
but then I let her back in.
Oh, okay.
So
I think referee
you want to
Bates
do
signed
that?
an order removing her from the home again, maybe. It
I
wouldn't
don't-
hurt to,
let me look. Let me make sure that if that's in place, then I don't need to do another one, but let me look. If she did, it's not tabbed, but let me make sure it's not with the petition.
it also might just be part of the 24-hour hearing order, in which case it probably would make sense to have a separate order.
All right, I don't need to keep you folks on the line to do that. We'll make sure that there is a current order removing Ms. Chambers from the home in place, and that will remain in place going forward.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. See you at 10.
Anything else today?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you all at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.